Roronoa Zoro, Luffy's right-hand man, or his rival. And a man that, depending on who you ask, is either packing up Big Mom or getting blitzed by Jinbei. So just how close is the pirate hunter to the pirate king? Basically, what we're trying to figure out, could Zoro beat Luffy's opponents? Now there's a lot of debate between how close Zoro and Luffy were pre-timeskip though. Thankfully, Oda's given us a pretty straightforward answer with like multiple pieces of evidence. Firstly, we have the obvious, right after Loguetown, these guys were going to war in Whiskey Peak. I mean, Luffy wasn't holding back here. This dude was legitimately trying to send Zoro's skull to Kingdom Come, and despite his voluptuous self, we know, even while being obese, Luffy's got that Mexican fat, you know, the type where these dudes can still throw down in the pocket. I mean, Zoro even landed a clean up kick on Luffy. We know Zoro has a knack for shysting people's attacks, stealing Kinemon's technique, so yeah, this dude shamelessly stole the Gum battle axe. Additionally, in one of the data books, not exactly sure which one, but Zoro and Luffy are stated to be equals in strength, and Zoro even surpassing him in intelligence, which is a horrible look, but still. So you could even make an argument that Zoro is stronger than Luffy for a fair bit of the early show, though I don't think you necessarily have to invest a lot of stock in extra materials. When it lines up with what we see in the show, it's just a little bit more proof. Oh, and yeah, people forget, man, it was actually Zoro that gave Luffy his chest scar. I know a lot of y'all have been Mandela affected and, you know, convinced by the Akainu agenda into thinking it was actually him. But contrary to popular belief, on a random island in the East Blue, Zoro was slicing up that chest cavity. I mean, that is pretty zany, buddy. Anyway, nerd stuff aside, going through the bouts, Zoro's smoking Elvita, Captain Morgan is looking a little tan here, so we know what's going on there. He's slicing up Buggy's lackey, but then we get an interesting discussion. Could Zoro beat Buggy? I mean, he's just immune to the sword slashes of Zoro. I mean, he was giving Mihawk problems in Marineford. Yeah, nah, Zoro's giving him a quick stomp to the muggy balls and sending him on his merry way. Then we get to Kuro, and yeah, this is straight up a worse matchup for Kuro. Zoro is hitting him with the link spinning attack and taking out that sick scamming bomb. Then there's Dawn Krieg, and although there might be some problems at first with the whole cutting gold, Krieg kind of just forgot about half of his body. I mean, come on, man. I know you're trying to flex the waist, the taper, and the lat inserts, which are all kind of nasty, buddy. I mean, fair play, you look great. But this just isn't practical whatsoever. I mean, just go low. I mean, topple the tree, you know what I'm saying? Then we get to the Arlong debate. And remember, I'm taking a full HP Zoro into account. In this timeline, he didn't get hit with a taunt to get bodied combo breaker by Mihawk. And let me tell you something. The literal corpse, the man who literally got chopped in half a couple days earlier, was able to put the fear of Nika into Arlong. Literal 1 HP Zoro had this dude sweating buckets. He saw Zoro fall into an attack and thought, oh man, I better take out this dude immediately or else I'm gonna get turned into sashimi. Zoro was absolutely brutalizing Arlong if he was there at full health, and I think you can agree with me there. Then, lastly, rounding off the East Blue saga, we have Smoker, and yes, fortunately Zoro, much like every other Straw Hat in the crew, isn't gonna beat Smoker at this point in the story. But here's where I reveal the hidden aspect of this video that I've been hiding. This isn't just a could Zoro beat Luffy's opponents, we're gonna add in if he couldn't, what form of Zoro could? Could East Blue Zoro do it? No. But what form of Zoro could? Because we're trying to make this video a little unique here. And surprisingly enough, despite Smoker not really being in a powerhouse, Zoro simply doesn't have a chance until we reach Fishman Island due to the hockey check that is the Logia fruit. But let me tell ya, Fishman Island Zoro versus Smoker, it's raps, buddy. That's a dark fight. I don't think they can serialize that in the 13+ manga. Anyway, now that we finished the first saga, you're still watching, you're enjoying the video, could I so earnestly ask you to subscribe to the channel, you know, like and hype the video, all that good stuff, so I can continue with the video. You did it? Then we reach the great oil desert that is Alabasta, and real quick, Zoro was low-key the protagonist for Whiskey Peak and Drum Island. I mean, this dude took out more of the Baroque Works members than all the other crew combined, so really, there's not much of a difference here. Though, then we get to a tricky customer, and depending on how much of a certified big eater Wapol is, he could easily munch down on Wadowitch emoji real quick. That's all I gotta say about that. Though, as much as I love Wapol, Zoro is likely quickly cleaning up his pre-timeskip, pre-hustler grind set self. Then, we get to Crocodile, and honestly, This just is an awful matchup for pre-timeskip Zoro. I mean, he can't even fluke some damage due to his swords not being able to hold water. Could you imagine trying to get your sword wet, buddy? It's lasting like 10 seconds before it blows off. People clown on the 4Kids adaptation, but these Marines knew what they were doing whipping out the water guns. Though, there is something that's important to remember. Zoro did whip out pseudo armament hockey against Mr. 1, so I think that battle in particular and the circumstances is what woke him up to that attack. Zoro's issue wouldn't be not cutting Crocodile, but rather not being able to effectively damage him, and Croc would likely take him out a lot quicker due to him just being stronger than Daz Bones. So what's the earliest form of Zoro that can actually take out Crocodile? And once again, it's just a simple hockey check, and admittedly, Zoro's tool bag is a little bit shallow, not having the elemental damage that Luffy and Sanji have. If he could whip out some sort of fire damage, I would take an Enies Lobby Zoro over Croc, but unfortunately, due to his low diversity, perhaps that's on purpose, and you see where I'm going with this, he really can't deal with Crocodile without hockey. And yes, before you say anything, Fox fire style isn't actually fire, it's just the ability to cut fire. It's kind of stupid, but that's just how it works. Then we get to the Skypiea saga, and once again, this is pretty simple. Zoro would utterly humiliate Bellamy. Could you imagine the absolute ego death that would take place if Bellamy lost to a lackey of someone he didn't respect? Absolute emasculation. He's leaving Bellamy hardcore rattled. Poor Bellamy, man. This guy can't catch a dubski no matter the circumstances. But then we get to Enel. And unfortunately for Zoro, this is a nightmare matchup for him. I mean, this is the definition of taking a knife to a gunfight. Imagine fighting Enel and you're sitting there like a total dunce with 3 conductors, 1 in each hand and 1 in your mouth. Buddy, it's raps. I mean, there really is nothing to say here, buddy. Enel made this guy stop his atheist ways. Though, in order to win this, Zoro needs to hit Buddy with a quick blitz, and I think that Fishman Island Zoro could blitz him. I mean, we saw Buddy easily handle a Pacifista, and he was just putting in jobber performances until he had to scrap with King. So I think after passing the hockey check, Zoro should be able to one-shot the fragile Freddy that is Enel. And now, we get to the most interesting, the most in-depth, the most intriguing part of the video. Foxy the Silver Fox vs. Zoro. And in particular, this isn't a barn-burning boxing match. Zoro's got to put the dukes up and scrap like a man, you know what I'm saying? Zoro might be one of those big guys who thinks that just because he's putting up 405 on the bench press, he can box with a professional fighter, is what I would say if Buddy didn't go and show the art of the limbs with his no sword style techniques, so he can keep up with the HGH demon that is Foxy. And I'm gonna be honest, Zoro could actually outsmart this fella, wouldn't be falling for the CTE inspired tactics of Foxy. He's getting in that ring with a cool green afro, looking like an honest to goodness Chia pet, and hitting the turtle shell belly of Foxy with a Tatsumaki, smacking the dude into the spikes or something good. But then we get to a little more of a tricky matchup, Roberto Lucci, and I will say, it is pretty clear that Zoro and Sanji had significantly easier times with their opponents than Luffy. Though, without Gear 2, Zoro doesn't have a good way to keep up with the ferocious feline. I mean, if we think back to the building where Iceberg's second assassination was attempted, the two of them got pretty similarly quick diff by Lucci. So even if you want to assume that they were equals then, which you know, I could see the argument for, but I don't know what cope I need to make up for with Gear 2. I mean, when you just compare the buffs, Zoro got Asha, which you can easily draw the comparison to Gear 3 with the attack output bonus, but Zoro didn't show any significant improvement in his travel speed. Yes, Astra might be able to match Luffy in a 100-yard dash, but that is just not enough mobility when we have Lucci going in there running on the roof and sealing like the crazy cat he is. Even if I do bend the knee and admit that Zoro could catch Lucci with a blitz in Astra, I don't even think that it would be enough to do one hit or quitter damage. I mean, Luffy hit this dude with everything in his arsenal and he wouldn't stay down. It wasn't until Luffy truly gritted down on the mouthpiece and threw everything he had left at him at once that he was able to catch a win over the Cypher Pole 9 agent. But then, we get to the question of if Thriller Bark Zoro can handle Lucci, and still, I don't think he could because we don't have enough evidence that he got significantly faster. Yes, he dodged Kuma's attacks, but we don't really see an interaction between those and Luffy, so it's very hard to judge. But then we get to Sabaody Archipelago, and I'm here to tell you that Sabaody Zoro is beating Roberto. First of all, we saw an injured Zoro that didn't recover from the time that nothing happened, was in fact able to keep up with Gear 2 Luffy, A stronger and faster Luffy, mind you. So we already know that he's at bare minimum keeping up with Lucci. But not only that, he has only gotten stronger since then. He now has an attack that can consistently damage pacifistas and keeps his proficiency with Ashura. However, this time he now has Shunsui, the sword he ripped from Ryuma, which he himself said would make him multiple times stronger. Oh, and this dude is just straight up more durable than Luffy at this point. Firstly, since the majority of Lucci's attacks are scratches, Luffy doesn't really benefit from his resistance to blunt damage, but Zoro also just took Luffy's pain and was able to stay standing. Luffy passed out sleeping like a baby, but Zoro was standing there like nothing happened. Literally, a Zoro, mind you, that still was suffering from his own injuries. Kuma was glazing this dude too. A guy who was taking everyone's pain every Sunday even said that he might be keeling over from this. A buccaneer said he was coughing up blood, bending the knee, laying in bed for a bit after this. That's all I gotta say. This moment is truly an astonishing feat this early on in the series. So yeah, this might be an incredibly unpopular opinion, but Sabaody Zoro is slicing and dicing the feline. Then we get to the spooky thriller bark with Gecko Moria, the emasculated man himself, and this is a tricky one because honestly, Luffy didn't even really beat Moria fairly. I mean, we already know it's a 20v1, so like Zoro and Luffy both fought him, so if we think about it, nothing really changes. It's like doing a math equation of 3 plus 4, just switching 4 and 3 and making up 4 plus 3. Change anything? Not really. But I know you're not on a One Piece power scaling channel, the newly acclaimed best one on YouTube, mind you. But you're not here to care about the lame technical aspects. You want me to tell you what would happen if Zoro and Moria went 12 hard rounds. And let me tell you something. This is not looking good for our buddy Zoro. Despite not getting out of bed and having a terrible case of pot belly, is still durable enough to take out Zoro, though unfortunately for Moria, there aren't that many arcs left in pre-timeskip, so the weakest form of Zoro that we see is Fishman Island Zoro, which is doing this dude so diabolically that I'm not so sure YouTube would even be happy with my description of what would happen in this fight. But then we get to the Paramount War saga, but Luffy doesn't really have any honest to goodness 1v1s, nor does he really have any close fights. I mean, he either wins dominantly against Scrubs, which Zoro would have done, or he gets dominated. Like, do you really need me to sit here and tell you, Zoro was getting bodied by the Admirals? Whoa, Zoro was getting bodied by Magellan? Whoa. Hopefully not. The only substantial difference that I can see is that Zoro is getting hit with a nasty right hand by Garp, and is being sent to the sea under Marineford. But who isn't, buddy? I mean, it's Garp, you know. But then we get to Fishman Island arc and reach the post-timeskip. Now, thankfully, our guy has finally a little bit of hockey going, so we don't have to worry about any of those pesky Logias anymore. And the first scrap of the post-timeskip that we have to worry about is Hody Jones. And man, this is such a tough one to pick out. I mean, I sat here for hours and hours just thinking about it. It's just so difficult to compare the two. Or at least, that's what I would say if we didn't literally already see this fight. We saw Zoro basically jobbing it up underwater, slacking and lacking when the great white shark pulled up with his strongman belly and he got actually boxed out in the water against Zoro. I mean, when you think about it, buddy, unprepared Zoro, you know, a dude whose knees and shoulders were probably clicking. He was feeling cold still. No warm-up. Straight into a life or death bout. And this dude dominated Hody in his natural habitat. You know, he got shut out on home court. But bro, what if Buddy had was steroid amped? Well, man, let's be real here. This dude could be on test and arms trend. Bro, even throwing peptides if you really want to. Dude, this guy is getting bodied by Zoro, and you and I both know it's true. Then we get to Punk Hazard, the most forgettable arc post-timeskip with the least forgettable characters. I mean, Luffy didn't even forget about Caesar Clown. That's a crazy impressive feat, bro. But anyway, that's just once again is nowhere near an even fight. I mean, just looking into Luffy versus Caesar, this wasn't a close fight. This dude hardcore blitzed the clown with a grizzly magnum. And I know you're gonna hit me with the, but bro, Zoro can't keep up with Gear 2. Bro, brother, this wasn't even Gear 2. Luffy blitzed this dude in base. Bro, could you imagine what an onigiri is doing, buddy? Is Caesar even going to be able to brace for an attack like that? He's getting chopped up real quick. That's all I got to say on that. Though when it comes to Doflamingo, things aren't looking too good for Zoro. I mean, yes, Doflamingo was getting absolutely bodied by Gear 4 and only made it close because Luffy gassed out. But that Dofi certainly wasn't in tip-top shape either. I mean, Luffy landed that nasty Red Hawk, and Law managed to land his Organ Obliterator with Gamma Knife. So yeah, despite Zoro not really going all out in Wano, I still am not sure that even if Buddy put the bandana on and Dofi spent too much time in the spray tanner, that Dressrosa Zoro would have been able to handle Dofi all by himself. And then unfortunately, because Zoro wasn't on Whole Cake Island, all I got is saying that Wano Zoro beats Doflamingo, and I mean, whoa, what an absolutely scorching hot take. I mean, someone grabbed the fire extinguisher. We're really speaking out here on the Clinch channel, but yeah. And alas, we reach Katakuri, the freshest Yonko commander. Yep, even better than the Gimp Suit Lunarian or the old people swimsuit model and Smoothie. But here's the thing. Since we don't know anything about Whole Cake Island Zoro, I just have to say Wano again, which I know is an incredibly boring answer, but that's just how the cookie crumbles, bud. And I know this isn't a controversial take, well, because it's a correct one. We know that a Luffy who was literally getting one-tapped by Kaido, blitzed by the drunkard, that Luffy was boxing up Katakuri and only had to land a round's worth of significant strikes. Then we get to Zoro, who was able to land on and do significant damage to Kaido, and that was before he unlocked his Edgelord nickname, because Rooftop Zoro and the King of Hell Zoro that fought King are just on different calibers, man. I mean, yeah, Katakuri can work the future sight gimmick, but if Zoro just frame traps you to a point where you can't even do anything about the oncoming King of Hell, 3-sword serpent, 103 mercies, dragon damnation, like what is Kot gonna do about that? But then Luffy did technically scrap with Big Mom, and here's where I come in with the Omega Ultra blazing hot take. Zoro loses to her. I'm kidding. What I'm trying to say is that after Elbaf, it won't be a crazy take to say that Zoro's winning that fight. Think about it. This guy is insanely durable. Not blowing up from a second of exposure to Conquest of the Sea is incomprehensible. Then his speed, not even letting Lucci get a hit in, a character who, by the way, was able to keep up with Gear 5 Luffy for moments. The same Luffy that was going to war with Kaido. Then we look at his physical strength, being able to clash evenly and push back someone who was widely considered to be the strongest Gorosei. His attack power, before even mastering or understanding ACOG, and this guy was basically already more proficient at ACOG than Big Mom, who completely forgot to use it when she was fighting Kid and Law. Just looking at all these stats, and to think he's gonna put on a performance to truly come into his own as the Wing of the Pirate King. You know what? Circle back to this video 50 chapters down the line and see the insane future sight that was just put onto display right here, buddy. And now we reach Wano, which, you know, as hard as I push for Zoro versus Big Mom, I don't know if I can say the same for Zoro versus Kaido here. Then we reached the final complete arc of the series, and one where Luffy actually had a fair few occasions where he got to run the ones. First off, we have Zoro versus Lucci, which is a really tricky one, man. I mean, who am I kidding, buddy? I did this bit already. Skip the shtick. We saw Luffy and Zoro both absolutely dominate and then finish off Luffy. I mean, truly, one of the most brutal humblings we've ever seen in One Piece. This guy was walking into Egghead. This guy was thinking he was the main character on his way to even the series, his Rocky moment, and then got absolutely laid out by a Dawn Impact. Then bro was getting saved by his arch enemies who don't really feel the same way about you, bro. I'm sorry. And now we get to Lucci vs Zoro, where Buddy hits the most brutal cope I think I'll ever see in my life. A second command of a Yonko. It's certainly good enough for me. Aw, Buddy, no. That's so sad. You were big up in yourself, and now here you are at the ending of the saga, on your knees, begging to the evil bird dude that just flew by. That is tough, bro. Finally, with the last Luffy 1v1 of the series so far, we have Kizaru. And man, I know there's some real copers out there that are still trying to argue that admirals aren't relative to Yonkos and are actually closer to commanders. But come on, man. It's nearly 2026. It's time to let the Marineford interactions go and just open your eyes, man. I mean, let's get you out of the old age home and out into the wilderness, I want you to see the sun, man. It's cold in there. Kizaru is unfortunately boxing up Zoro, and I don't know if I'm that much of a believer in post-Elbaf Zoro either. And that's the video. Let me know if you like it by leaving a comment, calling me a sword swallower, or whatever new nickname they give you for speaking the truth out there. But while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I hope you'll be here for another video on another Friday. See ya.